What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another post game here on Met Central. I genuinely am sitting here still, not knowing how they did not blow that game. Truthfully, I don't know how. They did everything in their power to say to the Cincinnati Reds in this game, take it. We don't want the win. Take it. Go ahead and gain a game and get closer to us in the standings. But instead, the Mets end up shutting the door. Edwin Diaz giving you the typical cardiac Diaz experience that we haven't had in a little bit now, to be honest with you. Like, there are times where he came in, he just outright stunk, and there are times he came in where he was just dominant. Tonight, cardiac Diaz affair, and it was not fun to deal with. Obviously, the results fun to deal with. But, you look at that, you look at Ryan Stanek coming into this game in a one-run ball game. It's like, what are we doing here? Peterson not giving a good outing. So there was a lot where it's like, man, they're doing everything to lose this game. But thankfully, they end up pulling this win out of their ass and holding on to win the game. Before we jump into everything, I ask that you please leave a like on your way into the post-game show here. Subscribe if you guys are new to the channel, especially if you're Met fans, and turn on your notifications so you know when we upload or go live here on the channel. Just an insane game. An insane game for no freaking reason. It's annoying, right? Because David Peterson almost did the thing that he did versus Atlanta at Citi Field, where he's given a cushion of a lead, and he was doing everything in his power to make sure, yeah, we're not going to hold on to this lead. And also, I mean, we'll get into it though, but like, man, where was the offense late in the game? I'm just stressed. I'm sitting here still stressed, even though the game's over, because it did not need to be that stressful. But the first thing the Mets offense got going, you end up getting a leadoff walk from Lindor. Soto hits a single. Alonso strikes out. Vientos hits a single. And then Soto steals third. A sac fly from Brandon Nimmo, which almost left the yard 2-0 ball game there. Marte makes it 3-0 with a single. And all of a sudden, the Mets are off and running early. And I thought we could just kick back and relax. This is going to be an easy game. I actually thought it was going to be easy. I don't know why. I really thought, hey, you jump on Abbott early. Should be simple. And I get it. We're Mets fans. I shouldn't have expected that. But at the same time, I don't know why. I just got the vibe where it's like they're getting the Abbott. And then even more so in the second inning, when you get 2 on with 1 out, I'm thinking Soto and Alonso coming up. Let's do something here. Let's really punch them in the throat. That doesn't happen. But Vientos hits a solo shot in the third inning. And then in the bottom of the third, David Peterson started to annoy me. But I give him credit for the way that he went about it, because he gets Cabrian Hayes out, allows back-to-back hits, then allows a sac fly to Noelvi Marte, gets Ellie to ground out. So you get out of that with 1 run. Okay, that's not the worst outcome considering you had 2 on there with runners in scoring position, and you had 1 out. Not the worst position to be in. And then Juan Soto ends up driving in Lindor, back-to-back doubles there as they trade places in the 4th inning. And then in the bottom of the third, David Peterson. It's one thing if it was, 1 or 2 runs here this inning. Him making it that close really annoyed the shit out of me. And the pitch locations is what annoyed the shit out of me, especially on that double to Tyler Stevenson, where he's putting a sinker right down the plate. And then Francisco Alvarez, how do you not lay the tag there? How do you not lay the tag on Spencer Steer? You got to tag his hand. Why are you going for his head or shoulder, whatever it was? You got to lay the tag. And then Cabrian Hayes with a sac fly, 5-4. He gets out of it with a strikeout. And the thing that was frustrating throughout the rest of this game is the Mets had opportunities to add offensively, and they just did not at all. Like in the fifth inning, you get a single for Brandon Nimmo. Marte gets robbed of a hit there by Austin Hayes. McNeil gets a single. Unfortunately, though, you don't drive a run in. The sixth inning, you get 2-1. One out. Pete Alonso hits into a double play. He came up in big spots and was small every time tonight, and that annoyed me too. Pete Alonso needed to be way better tonight because if this team was able to tack on a few more runs, we're not even stressing about the way that ninth inning went. But unfortunately, that's the hand that we were dealt. And it's like once Abbott was out of the game, the offense didn't do enough to win. Then the sixth inning. So Mendoza leaves Peterson in, which I didn't hate considering the way the fifth inning went with the bottom part of the order coming up, or like the middle to bottom part of the order coming up. Once two guys were on, right decision to pull them. But why on God's green earth? And I know that it worked out. I understand that it does not matter in the end. But the process matters here. Why on earth, with two guys on and one out, with a fully rested bullpen, with the off day you had, why is Ryan Stanek the first guy out of the bullpen? I am struggling to talk tonight, clearly. Why is he the first guy out of the bullpen? Again, it worked out. That Brian Hayes walk scared me. And I was like, grand slam incoming, right? But he gets out of it with that strikeout on McLean. Again, I get it worked. I don't love the decision because that decision's made against a better team. That's not going to work out. And I get the circumstances are what they are where you're not facing a good team. But even then, like, even against the Reds, I don't want to see Ryan Stanek in a one-run game in that spot. Again, I get it. It worked. It doesn't matter. I shouldn't complain. But I didn't love it. I'm going to be honest. I didn't love it. I loved Brooks Raley giving a 1-2-3 inning, though. Loved that. And then the eighth inning, the Mets again had an opportunity. McNeil gets robbed of a hit, but you get 2-1 with two outs, and Juan Soto unfortunately hits into a ground out. Rogers, he puts together one of his better performances as of lately. I don't kill him for the single that Lux hit, just a weird infield hit, but good job by him. He almost allowed a hit, though, throughout one of these at-bats. I think it was it might have been the steer at bat where it went down the line but foul, or it just went foul by the chalk there in right field. But he ended up working through it. And then Edwin Diaz, oh my goodness, was it the most chaotic shit. Not only with the fact that he loaded the bases, with the fact that he walked Friedel on 4 pitches, but the fact that you also had him changing cleats in the middle of the outing. Alvarez with his equipment delay, which I don't know if they were trying to, stall for. When Alvarez had the equipment issue, I'm like, they're stalling to let Edwin Diaz Alvarez is stalling to let Diaz collect his thoughts and gather his breath a little bit. The cleat thing, though, I was like, I'd be so pissed if I was in that ballpark and I was a Reds fan. But the funny thing also during this entire thing was Gary just being like, at this point, I mean, do you play for the one run? Gary, I love you, but come on. How long have you been doing this gig, Gary? How long have you been doing this gig to not know that this was ending one of two ways? It was either ending with Diaz doing what he did, getting out of it, or it was ending with the Reds walking it off. There was no in between. There was never a world where it was going to go to extra innings. I love you, Gary, but come on. None of us thought that was going to the 10th inning. No one. I thought the Reds were going to win this game because I thought that this was tailor-made and the Mets were just gifting this game away. But he gets those 2 big strikeouts And then Gavin Lux grounds out. Thank goodness he covered first base. Got trauma from times he hasn't. Covers first base, and the Mets hold on to win, thankfully. Not the prettiest, but you do need to win these kind of games. And, we talked about it on the podcast episode as of lately. You got to find ways to win close games. And to find a way to win this game was huge to me still, even though it wasn't pretty. The bullpen needs to start righting the ship. They weren't crisp because Diaz also had one, which just went foul, which scared me. But the bullpen, for the most part, still did good enough. I mean, obviously, they did good enough on paper, but you get what I mean. You get what I mean entirely there. But I want to see the bullpen right the ship and be able to handle these close games. They did that tonight. I didn't love the offense getting one hit once Abbott was out of the game. I mean, that's a trend that we talked about as well throughout times. That what I thought was fading, but tonight, that was something that creeped in a little bit. Like I said, though, I mean, they had opportunities to really step on their throats and they didn't. Peterson once again didn't give a good start. There are a lot of pros and cons to take away from this game. And I don't know, what outweighs the other, to be honest with you tonight. Because on one hand, I'm happy the bullpen gave you something, but I also need to see more before I, buy back into it. Peterson, though, I mean, something's got to give here. I can tell you right now, Jonah Tong's going tomorrow, and Jonah Tong, he just has to impress in every start he makes, which is very few. It's like 3 or 4 starts, and he could easily sneak in as the number 2 starter come playoff time. So, something to keep an eye on down the stretch here. I don't know how it happened at all. I actually have no clue. I genuinely thought this was going to be a typical Mets type of loss. Yeah, both had the same thought there. Because you had Pete and Acuna both going for the ground ball there. Average Diaz save is right. This game pissed me off so much, but was a ballsy inning from Sugar. Ballsy to get out of it, but holy crap, please not again. Never again. Yeah, Ellie staring at that fastball. Again, they caught a lot of breaks tonight. You win one more game and you get yourself a series win and a minimum split with the season against the Reds. Yeah, which to me though, I really want to see them. Obviously, I want to see them sweep. I know it's not going to be easy with Hunter Green, but I need to see better tomorrow. Definitely need to see better tomorrow from this team. Most importantly. And they got to start sweeping series, in my opinion. If you want a shot of winning the division still, which, they've talked about at times that it's still possible. And I don't think it is, but if you want any chance, you got to start sweeping some series here and there. Which they, funny enough, though, are right near where the Padres are, though. So it's really a matter of that second or third wild card spot. Not that there's a difference, but if there's a world where they could catch the top wild card spot, I could tell you right now that would be pretty nice. Get home field. I would at least like that, but I don't know how realistic that is. I might be wrong, but I think those equipment issues from Diaz and Alvarez were mine had to slow the game. If it were, credit to them. I think the Alvarez one was. I don't think the Diaz one was, though. That's just my opinion, because Alvarez always kind of does that, but I don't think Diaz would want to like intentionally change his cleats in the middle of the outing there. Yeah, happy it worked, but it doesn't make it the right decision. How many times has that decision backfired? This is more of an outlier than a regular tendency. That's the problem here. And we talk about that all the time. And it's the same thing with, like, if they brought Helsley into this game and say it worked out, Helsley coming into a 1-run game here, that does not mean by any world it was the right decision to do it. Because, like Matt said, how many times has it backfired? Yeah, don't do it again, is the thing, which, like you also said, we know he will. We caught a break tonight. Hopefully, it will carry over, and it better. It better because that wasn't good enough, and you won the game. Find a way to be better tomorrow with Jonah Tong on the mound, and you're going against Brady Singer, who's not a world beater. So this offense, I want to see more from them. I want to see them capitalize with the runners at scoring position because they had it. They were 3 for 10 though tonight. That's not good enough. When you also include the context that a lot of that was carried by the first inning. That's not good enough. And that's something that we saw the Mets doing to win games earlier in the year, which again was not good enough. But either way, I'm going to wrap things up here so I could watch the football game that's going on right now. So thank you everyone for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you guys are new. Turn on your notifications so you know when I upload or go live. And I'll see you guys in the next one.